Hey y'all, my name's Belinda, 34, female. Every time I tell this story to friends and co-workers, they say it's so crazy I should upload it on Reddit or one of those story time channels on YouTube. So here I am, prepared to have your minds blown. You see, my story isn't like the typical in-law drama. I mean, in-laws are involved, when are they ever not? But not in the way you think. After getting married to Kurt, 37, male, I always thought my family was pretty standard, the usual mix of quirks, laughs, and the occasional embarrassing moment. Nothing crazy. Little did I know the real drama was waiting in the wings. The center of this whirlwind was my mother-in-law, Gail, 62, female, and my late father, Dave, 66, male. You see, Gail was the epitome of prim and proper. She liked things in perfect order, neatly arranged, and above all, she despised any hint of goofiness or messing around. Now, my dad, God rest his soul, was the complete opposite. He was a walking, talking comedy show, stumbling over his own feet and finding humor in every situation. Life was a joke to him, and he wouldn't have it any other way. His mantra was all about never taking anything too seriously because life was so short. Needless to say, Gail didn't really like my dad, and my dad, being the goofy guy he was pretty much oblivious to Gail's irritations. Although they didn't really get along as much, no one could say that my mother-in-law had anything against my dad. That was until the infamous luncheon she had that transformed her from a mean and grouchy old lady to Cruella de Vil herself. Picture it, a gathering of her high society friends delicately sipping tea and nibbling on finger sandwiches, and then enters my dad, fashionably late, ready to sprinkle some chaos. First, he stumbled in like a cartoon character, drawing gasps from the gathered guests. Gail looked like she was about to murder someone, clearly feeling embarrassed. But wait, it gets better, or worse, depending on your perspective. In a crazy display of comedic misfortune, Dad managed to topple the piece de resistance, an ice sculpture that Gail probably paid a small fortune for. The gasps turned to horrified silence, and Gail's face turned a shade of red I didn't know was possible. You can imagine the chaos that ensued. Kurt and I were caught in the middle, desperately trying to smooth things over. Gail's luncheon had turned into a circus, and my dad was the ringmaster. The aftermath of that luncheon was like a twisted sitcom. Gail, bless her heart, was obviously devastated. I felt a pang of sympathy for her. She had put so much effort into that event, only for it to be hijacked by a well-meaning klutz. Dad, being Dad, was in overdrive with apologies. Gail's friends were ready to bolt, their noses high in the air, but Dad had a plan up his sleeve. In a surprising turn of events, Dad transformed the disaster into a comedy extravaganza. His impromptu stand-up routine and improv not only salvaged the day, but had everyone in stitches. Even the snooty guests couldn't resist cracking a smile. Everyone was having a ball, except for Gail, that is. She was in no mood for laughter. Dad tried everything to mend the situation, telling her that he'd pay her back for the damages caused. But Gail, determined to nurse her wounded pride, left her own party in a huff. Imagine that, leaving your own party and your own home because you were upset. Woof. From that day forward, it was like the War of the Roses in our family. Gail, still fuming, treated Dad like he was a cockroach. I get that she was pissed, and I let her stew in her anger for a while, but literal years went by and it seemed like things would never be patched up on her end. Dad was always extending the olive branch, but she'd either ignore it or downright swat it away. What really ticked me off is that she even skipped his funeral. Kurt and I were beyond upset. How could she let a silly event overshadow a man's entire life. So that night, emotions raw from Dad's funeral, I mustered the courage to ask Gail the burning question: what exactly was her problem? I needed to understand why she was letting this grudge cast a shadow over everything, especially in such a difficult time for our family. Gail, today was such a mess. Where were you? Why didn't you come? You know I never liked your father. I know, but you couldn't even show up at his freaking wake. I'm going to let that slide because I'm sure you're feeling very upset right now. Yeah, Gail, I'm very upset. My own mother-in-law couldn't bother attending my dad's funeral. How do you think that makes me feel? What about my feelings, Belinda? You guys didn't give a damn when that clown ruined my luncheon. I became a laughingstock after that. Do you know that? Oh, please, enough with the dramatics. Your friends loved my dad. And Kurt already told me how it was you who made yourself a laughingstock when you refused to re-invite him for the next event. You did this to yourself. And all for a block of ice? That's really pathetic, Gail. Life lost its color after Dad left us. His absence created a void, leaving behind memories of his outrageous antics that I would forever cherish. Following that heated phone call with Gail, our relationship took a hit. I wasn't in the mood to tiptoe around her feelings, especially when she was the one holding onto a grudge like it was a prized possession. Years rolled by and the tension between us didn't entirely dissipate, but we managed to coexist without setting off verbal fireworks. It wasn't the warmest relationship, but at least it wasn't explosive. Then one day, as I was grinding away at work, Kurt called me with a tone of distress. He spilled the beans about Gail's kitchen, which had turned into an unintentional bonfire. It seemed she forgot to switch off a burner, and now her house was set to be repaired. She's pretty shaken up after the whole thing. Yeah, I can imagine. What a shame. I'm glad she's okay. Yeah, but her ego's bruised. She doesn't want to have to slum it up in hotels, and she doesn't want to live with anyone. Why am I not surprised? Yeah, so we're currently looking for places. Which brings me to ask you, is that rental property your dad used to own still available? Oh, that place. I almost forgot about it. Actually, my friend Kenya is living there with her husband. My dad gave them the house before he passed. Oh man, that sucks. I was really counting on that rental for my mom to crash. But if I remember correctly, she did tell me that she wanted to rent out that place and move back to her old home. They said they wanted to start a family and the other house is bigger, so guess it must be available. Oh, that's great. Let me talk to her and get back to you. I did just that, calling my childhood friend and asking her if what I said was true. And just as I thought, she and her hubby, Victor, were totally game for the plan. They were looking to rent out their place for some extra cash, and helping out my mother-in-law and I was like icing on the cake. Kenya promised they'd have everything ready in a jiffy. I couldn't wait to share the news with my mother-in-law. She genuinely seemed excited about the idea of a new place. It was surprising, but suddenly Gail's demeanor towards me shifted to the positive. Maybe she was feeling grateful or finally recognized that family should be there for each other instead of holding on to grudges. Despite everything that went down, I figured it was time to build some bridges. Things were going surprisingly well. Gail was all smiles and sweetness during the move. A side of her we rarely saw. Kurt and I were enjoying the positive vibes and appreciating the break from the usual tension for once. It seemed like everything was looking up for us now. Unfortunately, Kenya and Victor couldn't be there to hand over the keys, but that was all right. Kurt and I took charge, making sure Gail got settled into her new place. Once she was all squared away, we headed back to our own home. I couldn't shake off the strange feeling after that call. Gail's words about my dad and the sudden move-out plans didn't add up. It felt like there was more to the story than she was letting on. As the days passed, I decided to do some digging. I reached out to Kenya, who had connections in town and could possibly help me get to the bottom of things. I spilled the details about Gail's odd behavior, and Kenya agreed that it was worth looking into. After a bit of investigation, Kenya discovered something shocking. Gail had been spreading rumors in the neighborhood about Kurt and me, painting a picture of a strained relationship and insinuating that we were heading for divorce. I couldn't believe it. Why would she do such a thing? Furious and hurt, I confronted Gail about the rumors. She feigned innocence at first, but when I presented the evidence, she finally broke down. She admitted that she wanted to create chaos and drama in our lives, thinking it would bring some excitement and perhaps get my dad's attention. It was beyond absurd. Kurt and I decided that enough was enough. We asked Gail to leave immediately and cut off all ties with her. It was a painful decision, but we couldn't let her toxic actions poison our lives any further. Little did I know, this would be the final chapter in the saga of my strained relationship with Gail. It was all smooth sailing for a while. Gail didn't complain about the place, and she seemed to enjoy her time there. 2 months came and went by pretty fast, and I was about to head out to help Gail with moving out when she called me and surprised me by revealing that she had already left. "Hello, darling." "Hi, I was just about to start off. Just give me 10. Actually, I was calling to tell you that won't be necessary." "Oh, why?" "Well, because I just finished moving out." "All by yourself?" "Gail, that's dangerous. You know you have a bad hip." "Oh, stop it. I hired some people to help me move out." "That wasn't necessary, Gail. You know Kurt and I were meant to help you. You didn't have to spend any money." "Don't worry about it. I didn't want to waste your time. Besides, these guys were way faster than you two ever could have been." "Okay, but we were supposed to check the house, you know, inspect it for anything. Just renter duties, I guess." "Don't worry about all of that. It's fine. But, oh, how I wish I could see the look on your father's face." This caught me off guard. What did my dad have to do with anything? I asked her what she meant by that, and she said, I didn't mean to say that out loud." "Silly me. What I meant was, I wish your father was here to see how well we're all getting along." "Yes, I mean, it's what he's always wanted, right?" "Right. Yes, well, that's what I meant." "Should I come over that side? I imagine you're still at the property. Let me come, do a quick walkthrough and get the keys." "No, there's no need for that. Why don't I just come and drop them off at your place? You haven't left yet, right?" "Well, no, but I was about to." "And waste gas? Nonsense. Let me make my way over to you and hand over the keys." "Okay, Gail, you'll find me here." Gail was acting weirder than usual, and alarm bells were ringing in my head. Why did it seem like she didn't want me to come and see the place? Or help her? I mean, this was the lady who would want to be fed if she could. She was always dependent on people, especially if she could get it for free, so her hiring some people to help her move out was a bit iffy. And don't get me started on the way she was talking about my dad. All of it left me feeling uneasy, wondering what Gail was up to. Even though I felt odd about it, I decided to brush it off, chalking up Gail's weirdness to her just being excited to be back in her home. It was understandable. So soon enough, she came and dropped off her copy of the house keys. And when she dropped off the keys, I didn't question her further and let her go on her way. I called Kenya and Victor to inform them that Gail had moved out, but I hadn't done a walkthrough. "That's all right." "Are you sure? Because for some reason, Gail was being weird about it." "I'm sure everything's fine. I mean, we trust her and we trust you." "Exactly. Don't worry about it. We'll check on the house ourselves since we're already coming back into town tonight. So we'll swing by, don't you worry. And you can give us the keys tomorrow." "Okay then. Travel safely." I was planning on having a chilled evening with some wine and a bubble bath when all of a sudden my phone was going crazy with calls and texts from Kenya and Victor. It seemed like something was seriously wrong. I almost thought they had gotten into an accident. I called Kenya back and boy was she not having it. "What the hell is this, Belinda? Are you screwing with us now?" Whoa, calm down. What's going on?" "Calm down? How do I calm down when your mother-in-law has completely ruined this place?" "What? What are you talking about?" "Just get over here." I started panicking, wondering what had happened and why Kenya was so upset. Quickly getting ready, I headed to the house, texting Kurt to meet me there because something was definitely up. When we arrived, horror awaited us. The outside of the house looked like a trap house, covered in dirt, grime, and scandalous graffiti. Initially, I thought some crappy neighborhood kids had done this just to be annoying, but Kenya was quick to point fingers at a much older person. "What did that witch do to our home? What the hell? Kenya, Vic, what's going on here?" "You two should know. After all, it was Gail who did this, obviously." No, there's no way she'd do this." "You haven't even seen the inside. I think it's worse." Stepping into the house, Kurt and I were hit by an overwhelming stench of, well, crap. The place was a disaster, with animal feces and sewage smeared all over the walls and floors. It was the worst thing I'd ever experienced in my life. We had to rush back outside, and Victor demanded an explanation as he held a sobbing Kenya in his arms. "What the hell, you guys? Belinda, what is this?" "Guys, I'm sure there's a messed up but logical explanation for all of this." "Yeah, my mom would never do such a thing. This is just as blindsiding to us as it is to you two. Listen, man, we did you guys a favor." "I know, and we're so grateful." "And this is how you repay us? With shit?" "I think all of us need to calm down." "Calm down? Calm down? Why the frick would I calm down? Look at my home." "I hate to say it, but we need to book Gail for her crimes. I already have my team looking into it." "And I'm gonna sue the shit out of her. She's gonna learn today." Kurt and I were so shocked. We kept on asking questions out of pure disbelief. But Kenya and Victor said that they knew it was her. Who else could it have been? After all, she was the last person to be in the house. Despite all the signs pointing to her, we couldn't wrap our heads around why she would do something like this. Attempting to calm Kenya and Victor down, I suggested FaceTiming Gail so that we could get to the bottom of this. I told them that I would take accountability for this because I was the one who connected Kenya and Victor to Gail. I told everyone to stay out of the camera view so that she would think I was speaking to her alone. "Hello? Hey, Gail, can I ask you a question? I'm at the house right now and..." "Oh, so you see the surprise I left you?" "If by surprise you mean an actual shit show, then yes, I see it. What the hell is this?" "Oh, Belinda, you sweet naive child, you were so eager to give me your father's home. Didn't you know I'd get my revenge?" "Revenge? What revenge?" "For all those years ago, of course. You thought I forgot." "Gail, what the heck are you talking about?" "You know, my luncheon, the ice sculpture." "What? So you mean to tell me you disgraced this place all because of some ice? I told you that you needed to get over that." "I'll never get over it. You're lucky that's all you got. I was going to burn down the place." "How did you even do all of this? This is so disgusting, Gail. It's a new low, even for you. You think I was the one who did this? Oh no, I could never. I mean, I overlooked the work when it was being done, but God forbid I ever get down and dirty. Yuck. Then who did this?" I pay the moving guys a little something extra so that they get the job done, but the graffiti was all me. You're disgusting, Gail. Maybe, but at least I've got my revenge on your stupid father and his stupid jokes. I hope he's rolling in his grave. I looked over at Kurt, Kenya, and Victor, who were all fuming and disgusted by what Gail was saying. But then I just started laughing, surprising everyone. This pissed Gail off. What's so funny? Well, just the fact that you thought you could get away with it. What do you mean? I already have. Are you sure about that, Gail? Yes, of course. Those bozos are still out of town, aren't they? And honestly, who's going to believe you? You have no proof. Oh, Gail, sweet, naive Gail, you have no idea, do you? This house doesn't belong to my dad. Well, it used to, as you know, but he gifted it to Kenya and Victor. Kenya? Victor? As in the lawyer and the town sheriff? Yeah, those two. Oh! Yeah, oh! You're in a whole lot of trouble, Gail. I'm gonna sue you for everything that you're worth, which, by the looks of it, probably isn't even much, but I'll be satisfied knowing I've destroyed you. Mom, how could you do something so awful? Kurt, wait, I can explain. I found the house like that. I mean, I left and everything was fine. I was just joking earlier. It's too late, Gail. We have your confession in the phone records as well as your face to go along with it. You just screwed yourself over. And it was all for your stupid revenge, all for a stupid block of ice. I still don't get what the big deal is. He literally paid you back. You don't understand how humiliated I was. He ruined my reputation. No, Gail, you did that all by yourself. Don't drag my dad into this crap. And it looks like you've cemented yourself as a bad shit crazy old lady. Congrats. Just wait until I see you in court. And then behind bars. Wait, I can explain, please. After being caught, Gail started apologizing to Kenya and Victor, essentially kissing their asses because she knew how professional and skilled they were at their jobs. She knew that she was screwed and she was trying everything in the book to win their affection, but the damage had been done. Kenya and Victor were yelling at Gail, mainly Kenya, and they were telling her that she was going to pay for everything that she had done. Gail was in tears, of course. I would be too if Kenya yelled at me like that, but I eventually had to cut the call and regroup with the team. Kurt and I began apologizing, feeling embarrassed about the whole situation. Kenya and Victor, despite initial anger, seemed to calm down a bit after scolding Gail and making her aware of the consequences she was about to face. Kenya assured me that everything would be all right as long as they got justice and made it clear that she held nothing against me and Kurt, since it was evident that we didn't know about Gail's horrid plans. Kurt and I offered to cover the cost of a cleaning service to restore the house, and Kenya and Victor were grateful, but they said, "That's really sweet, but I need it to come from her pockets." You know what? You're right. She's the one who did this, so she should pay. Babe, I'm sorry to say it, but your mom's a bitch, and she's going to get everything that's coming to her. Don't worry, babe. I'm right there with you. I'm going to head over there to make the arrest now. I'm going to come with you. That same night, Victor and Kurt went to Gail's home to make the arrest. Kurt later shared with me that it seemed like Gail was hastily packing her bags, perhaps trying to escape, but it was too late. As Gail awaited trial, she became the town's laughingstock, dubbed the crazy shit lady. People distanced themselves from her, including her friends and business associates, claiming she was ruined and that they wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole. Kurt cut her off, and to this day, despite her calls from the jail cell, he avoids her like the plague. Kenya remains furious and is determined to take Gail down in court. We love an independent queen who doesn't take crap from anyone. So yeah, guys, we're now awaiting the trial. Whenever Victor comes home from work, he tells Kenya, who then tells me how Gail continues to try to weasel her way out of facing jail time. Funny how the lady who was so obsessed with having a clean image was now down in the dumps.